Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen stood motionless on the bridge of the EDF Hyperion, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she watched the alien armada materialize beyond Pluto's orbit. They emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 10,000 ships arranged in concentric rings that stretched across space like ripples in a cosmic pond. "Display magnification, Sector 7, she ordered, her voice steady despite the tension crackling through the bridge. The holographic display zoomed in on a cluster of hegemony warships. Their hulls gleamed with an iridescent sheen that reminded her of beetle shells, all identical down to the smallest detail. Too identical. Lieutenant Rivera's voice cracked slightly as he reported from the sensor station. "Admiral, we're detecting energy signatures consistent with Hawking-class weapons on at least 60% of their vessels. Any one of those ships could vaporize a small moon." Chen nodded absently, her mind already racing through historical battles, searching for parallels. The hegemony fleet's formation was beautiful, she had to admit, a testament to their technological superiority and discipline. But there was something about their precision that nagged at her consciousness, like an itch she couldn't quite scratch. "Incoming transmission, full spectrum," announced Commander Petal from communications. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." The holographic display flickered, replaced by the image of a hegemony high commander. Their crystalline exoskeleton caught the light of distant stars, faceted eyes reflecting multiple views of their bridge. When they spoke, the universal translator rendered their clicks and chirps into smooth, cultured English. "People of Earth, I am High Commander Zixtal of the Galactic Hegemony. Your civilization has been monitored since you achieved primitive spaceflight. The time has come for your integration into our empire. You have 24 of your hours to surrender your fleet, dismantle your defensive installations, and prepare for peaceful absorption into the hegemony. Resistance would be..." They paused, mandibles twitching in what Chen recognized as their species' equivalent of a condescending smile, mathematically inadvisable. Chen studied the aliens' bridge as they spoke, noting the positioning of their crew, the configuration of their control interfaces. Everything was arranged with the same mathematical precision as their fleet formation. That's when it hit her. The Battle of Taranto, 1940. The British had faced similar odds against a numerically superior force that relied too heavily on predictable patterns. "Admiral," Rivera whispered, "our entire defense fleet is only 50 ships. We can't possibly." "Lieutenant," Chen interrupted softly, "pull up the classified files on Project Glasswing. Authorization, Chen Alpha 79. Her quantum tablet hummed to life, displaying schematics that almost no one aboard knew existed, as Zixtal continued their rehearsed speech about the benefits of hegemony rule. Chen's fingers danced across the tablet's surface, running combat simulations. "Ma'am." Rivera leaned closer, eyes widening as he recognized the theoretical technology on her screen. Are those the quantum cloak prototypes? But they're not stable enough for a single ship, no. Chen finished his sentence, a plan taking shape in her mind. But what if we linked them, used their instability as an advantage? She pulled up footage from deep-sea research expeditions, showing schools of glass octopi vanishing in perfect synchronization. Nature already solved this problem for us. We just haven't been looking at it the right way. She straightened her uniform and turned to face her bridge crew. "Commander Patel, acknowledge the transmission. Tell them we'll need the full 24 hours to prepare our response." She allowed herself a small smile. "And then get me a secure channel to the United Earth Council. Priority black." As her crew rushed to comply, Chen took one last look at the massive alien fleet. They hung in space like a perfectly arranged work of art, each ship maintaining its assigned position with unwavering precision. Their very perfection would be their undoing. Sometimes, she reflected, the most dangerous predator was the one you didn't even know was hunting you. 3 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility known only as Deep Point Alpha, Admiral Chen faced the assembled members of the United Earth Council. The emergency chamber was a perfect sphere carved from solid basalt, designed to be utterly impervious to surveillance. Quantum dampeners hummed in the walls, ensuring even theoretical observers couldn't pierce their security. You're proposing we bet humanity's survival on untested technology. Counselor Zhang's voice echoed through the chamber, based on marine biology. Chen stood before the curved display wall, currently showing microscopic images of glass octopus tissue structure. Nature had millions of years to perfect quantum manipulation. We've spent the last decade learning from it. The glasswing prototypes have never been successfully tested on anything larger than a shuttle. Counselor Patel interjected, scrolling through technical data on her screen, and even those tests ended in catastrophic failures. Chen took a deep breath. This was the moment she'd been dreading and planning for. That's not entirely accurate. She entered a command sequence into her tablet, and the display changed. 3 months ago, I authorized a full-scale test on the Hyperion. The chamber erupted in shocked outcries. Security officers stepped forward, hands moving to weapons, but Chen continued speaking over the chaos. Watch. The footage showed the Hyperion in high orbit. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like water flowing over glass, distortions began to ripple across the destroyer's hull. Within seconds, the massive ship simply ceased to exist. Every sensor reading flatlined. Radar, LiDAR, quantum detection arrays, all showed empty space where a warship should have been. Impossible, breathed Counselor Mbeek. Leaning forward, the power requirements alone were solved by linking multiple quantum cores in a synchronized array. Chen finished. Just like a school of glass octopi, coordinating their chromatophores. We've been thinking about cloaking all wrong. It's not about hiding a single large object. It's about creating a network of smaller fields that work in harmony. The footage continued, showing the Hyperion rematerializing 6 minutes later, completely intact. The test was successful, Chen acknowledged. But you're right. It's not enough. We need to cloak 50 ships simultaneously, keeping them hidden long enough to strike. The power demands will be enormous. The neural load on our crews will be intense. And yes, there's a very real chance the quantum fields could collapse and tear our fleet apart. She paused, letting that sink in. But right now, that fleet is our only hope of survival. The hegemony doesn't integrate species, they subjugate them. Their peaceful absorption means genetic engineering, forced cybernetic enhancement, and the systematic erasure of human culture. I've seen the classified reports from their conquered worlds. Security footage from various alien planets began playing across the display wall. Cities transformed into identical hive structures. Native species altered to better serve hegemony efficiency standards. Entire civilizations reduced to optimized components of the Empire's machine. They expect us to surrender because their mathematics says we must, Chen continued. Their models predict everything about us except the one thing that matters most, human ingenuity. We've spent our entire history turning disadvantages into advantages, finding paths where others saw walls. And now we have 20 hours to prove that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our numbers, but our ability to do the impossible when our backs are against the wall. The chamber fell silent. Council members exchanged glances, decades of political rivalries giving way to the weight of the moment. Finally, Council President Reyes stood. What exactly are you proposing, Admiral? Chen's tablet projected a tactical display showing Earth's 50 ships arranged in an apparently amateur defense formation. But hidden within the seemingly clumsy positioning was a precise pattern, one that would allow their quantum fields to synchronize perfectly. I'm proposing we show the hegemony why they should have studied Earth's history before they threatened its people. She smiled grimly. After all, humanity's greatest victories have always come when our enemies thought they had us surrounded. 23 hours into the hegemony's ultimatum, Earth's defense fleet hung in space like scattered chess pieces. From the Hyperion's bridge, Admiral Chen watched her tactical display as the last ship slid into position. The formation looked random, almost amateurish, exactly as intended. "Final systems check," she ordered, her voice carrying across the neural command network to all 50 ships. "Quantum core synchronization status. Cores 1 through 50 nominal," reported Lieutenant Rivera, his hand steady despite the sweat beading on his forehead. "Field harmonics aligned within 0.03% variance. It's as good as we'll get, Admiral." Through the main viewport, Chen could see the massive hegemony fleet. Their ships still maintained that perfect geometric pattern, unchanged since their arrival. Their confidence was almost admirable. They hadn't even bothered to adjust their formation when Earth's fleet had taken up its seemingly defensive posture. "All ships, final confirmation." Chen broadcast. "Remember your training. Once we initiate quantum cloaking, maintain absolute position. Any deviation over 2 meters could collapse the entire field network." She paused, then added softly, "Whatever happens in the next few minutes, know that Earth is proud of you." Acknowledgments came in from each vessel. Some were steady and professional, others trembled with barely contained fear. From the destroyer Magellan came the voice of a young ensign. "Admiral, my family's in Sydney. If this doesn't work..." "It'll work, Ensign," Chen interrupted firmly. "Because we have something the hegemony doesn't understand, nothing to lose, and everything to fight for." The quantum countdown appeared on every bridge display. Chen took a deep breath, remembering the glass octopi in Earth's depths. In times of danger, entire schools would vanish as one, their disappearance so perfect that predators would swim right through the space they occupied. "Incoming transmission from the hegemony flagship," announced Commander Pottle. "They're demanding our answer." Chen smiled. "Put them through." High Commander Zixtel's crystalline form materialized in the holofield. "Your time expires, humans. What is your response to our generous offer?" "An interesting question," Chen replied, watching the countdown. 30 seconds. "Tell me, Commander, in all your calculations about Earth's capabilities, did you factor in our ocean life?" The alien's faceted eyes shifted in confusion. "Your primitive marine biology is irreal." 20 seconds, Rivera whispered. Chen's smile widened. "Then let me share something we learned from a remarkable creature called the glass octopus. Sometimes the best defense isn't to fight back. 10 seconds. It's to simply cease to exist." "What nonsense is this?" Zixtal demanded. "Your fleet's position is already locked in our targeting arrays. You cannot." "Quantum cores at full power," Rivera reported. "Field harmonics stable. Ready on your mark." Chen met Zixtal's alien gaze. "Watch closely, Commander. You're about to witness something mathematically impossible." "Now," she ordered. Across 50 ships, quantum drives engaged simultaneously. The space around Earth's fleet began to twist, light bending in ways that shouldn't be possible. Chen felt the strange sensation of quantum displacement wash over her, like being everywhere and nowhere at once. Through the fading holofield, she saw Zixtal's mandibles click in alarm as their sensors suddenly showed nothing where Earth's fleet had been. No energy signatures, no mass readings, not even residual heat. 50 ships and their crews had simply vanished. By the first egg, one of Zixtal's officers chittered. Where did they go? Full sensor sweep. They must have jumped tow. No hyperspace signatures detected. Another officer reported, panic creeping into their translated voice. No debris, no radiation, no quantum wake. They're just gone. The transmission cut off as the Hyperion's quantum field stabilized. Chen's fleet now existed in a state that hegemony science had declared impossible, present yet undetectable, occupying space without interacting with it. All ships report in, she ordered softly. One by one, 50 confirmations came through their quantum-linked communications. Every vessel had successfully cloaked. Every crew was intact. New course laid in, Rivera reported, ready to proceed through their formation. Chen nodded, watching the hegemony ships through their one-way quantum field. Take us in, Lieutenant. Let's show them why humanity's greatest weapon has always been our ability to do the impossible. Moving through the hegemony fleet was like navigating a forest of metal giants. From the Hyperion's bridge, Chen watched massive alien warships drift past, close enough to see the crystalline patterns etched into their hull plating. The quantum field rendered Earth's ships invisible, but one wrong move would shatter their concealment. 30 meters to port, Rivera whispered, though sound couldn't travel through their quantum bubble. Hegemony cruiser changing vector, holding position steady. The bridge crew held their breath as a mile-long alien vessel passed directly overhead. Through their quantum field, they could see the hegemony crew through illuminated viewports, frantically working at their stations. Sensor arrays swept space around them, passing harmlessly through Earth's hidden fleet. "Admiral," Commander Patel called softly. "Intercepted communications suggest they're deploying something called void trackers. Translation is uncertain, but..." A series of small devices emerged from the hegemony ships, spreading out in a complex pattern. Each one pulsed with dark energy, sending ripples through space-time itself. "They're looking for quantum distortions," Chen realized. "All ships, power down non-essential systems. Minimize field footprint." The void trackers drifted closer. On the Hyperion sensor display, Chen watched as one passed within meters of the destroyer Magellan. The young ensign's voice came through, barely a whisper. "Admiral, our quantum harmonics are fluctuating. The device is, it's affecting our field stability. Hold position," Chen ordered, her knuckles white, as she gripped her command rail. "All ships, prepare to execute Protocol Echo on my mark. If they detect one of us, we all decloak and strike immediately." Seconds stretched like hours as the void tracker moved past the Magellan. The ensign's breathing steadied. "Field stabilizing. We're clear." But their troubles weren't over. A massive energy surge rippled through the hegemony fleet as their ships began charging weapons. "Target these coordinates," Zixtal's voice boomed across all frequencies. "They must have developed some form of short-range teleportation. Find them." Particle beams and plasma torpedoes crisscrossed space where the Earth fleet had vanished. Chen watched geometric patterns of destruction sweep through empty space, the hegemony's mathematical precision working against them. Their attacks followed predictable vectors, leaving gaps large enough for the cloaked ships to maneuver through. "New problem," Rivera reported tensely. "Their weapons fire is creating gravitational eddies. It's affecting our quantum field harmonization." Chen nodded. "Like waves disturbing the glass octopus's camouflage. Signal the fleet. Switch to dynamic field modulation. Let the distortions flow around us instead of fighting them." The technique, inspired by how marine creatures adapted their camouflage to changing currents, had never been tested. But as energy blasts continued to fill space around them, they had no choice. Chen felt the shift as the Hyperion's quantum field became more fluid, bending like seaweed in a storm. "It's working," Rivera breathed. "Field stability improving." Other ships report the same. Through their quantum bubble, Chen watched the hegemony fleet's perfect formation begin to break down. Ships moved out of position, desperately searching for their vanished prey. Some fired at sensor ghosts, their beams passing harmlessly through empty space. Others began backing away, their crews clearly unnerved by fighting an enemy they couldn't detect. "Admiral," Paddle reported, picking up internal communications from their flagship. "Zixtal is ordering all ships to maintain formation, but some are refusing. They're afraid." Chen allowed herself a small smile. Fear, the one variable their equations can't account for. She studied her tactical display, where 50 points of light showed her fleet's true positions, now perfectly arranged around key enemy vessels. "All ships, prepare targeting solutions. Remember, we'll only have seconds when we decloak. Make them count." The Earth fleet continued its invisible advance through the chaos of the hegemony formation. They were hunters now, moving through a forest of metal trees, selecting their targets with predatory patience. and like all great predators, they would strike when their prey least expected it. "Send to all ships," Chen ordered quietly. "Phase 1 complete. Prepare for Phase 2 on my mark. All ships, initiate attack sequence." Chen's voice was steady as she gave the order they'd been preparing for. "Remember your training. Quantum fields will drop on my mark. You'll have exactly 2.3 seconds to launch before recloaking." The Hyperion's bridge thrummed with nervous energy as weapons officers ran final checks on their quantum torpedoes. These experimental weapons, designed to materialize inside enemy shields, had never been tested in actual combat. Like everything else about this mission, they were betting lives on untried technology. "Admiral," Rivera reported, detecting power surges in the Hegemony flagship. "They're attempting to engage their jump drive." Chen smiled grimly. "Not this time." She opened the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, commence Operation Pearl Harbor. 3, 2, 1, mark." For 2.3 seconds, Earth's fleet blazed into existence. 50 ships appearing simultaneously at point-blank range around their targets. Chen watched as quantum torpedoes launched, their warheads phasing through space in ways that violated what the Hegemony believed possible. The alien flagship never had a chance to react. 3 torpedoes materialized directly inside its main reactor chamber, their detonation splitting the massive vessel like an overripe fruit. The explosion set off a chain reaction, secondary explosions rippling through nearby command ships as their perfectly maintained formation became their downfall. "Recloaking now," Rivera called as the Hyperion vanished again. Through their quantum bubble, they watched 6 primary Hegemony command ships tear themselves apart from within. Debris scattered through space, smashing into other alien vessels whose formations were too tight to evade. By the void, Zixtal's voice crackled across all frequencies, broadcast from a secondary command ship. "All vessels, break formation. They're using impossible weapons, some kind of phase shifted." His transmission cut off as the destroyer Magellan's quantum torpedoes found their mark, reducing his new flagship to expanding clouds of plasma. The young ensign's voice came through the command network, shaking but proud. "Target eliminated, Admiral." The Hegemony fleet's precise geometric patterns shattered as ships scattered in panic. Energy beams sliced through space randomly as alien gunners fired at shadows. 3 Hegemony cruisers, attempting to maintain formation, collided with each other in their haste to escape phantom attacks. "Status report," Chen ordered, watching the chaos unfold. "All 50 ships successfully recloaked," Rivera confirmed. "Quantum field stable. No casualties." He paused, checking his readings. "Admiral, the Hegemony fleet, they're firing on each other. Their targeting systems are registering false positives from their own debris." Chen nodded. "Fear makes any species careless, even ones that pride themselves on mathematical precision." She studied her tactical display, marking clusters of enemy ships still trying to maintain some semblance of order. "Prepare for secondary strikes. Target their remaining command and control nodes." Through the quantum field, they watched Hegemony ships attempting to regroup. But their formations were ragged now, their perfect spacing destroyed by fear and confusion. Some vessels had activated their shields in all directions, burning through power reserves as they tried to defend against an invisible enemy. "Interesting readings from their neural networks," Commander Paddle reported. Their entire command structure relied on maintaining exact positions relative to each other. With their formation broken, their battlefield coordination is falling apart. "A weakness of perfect order," Chen mused. "It shatters completely when chaos is introduced." She opened the fleet channel again. "All ships, prepare for Phase 3. We're going to show them what happens when humanity decides to get creative." The Earth fleet moved through the debris field of their first victory, quantum fields rippling like predators swimming through blood-darkened waters. They had proved they could hurt the mighty Hegemony. Now it was time to prove they could break them. "Send to all ships," Chen ordered, allowing herself a moment of pride in her crew's performance. "Well done on Phase 2. Now let's remind these aliens why they should have studied Earth's military history before they threatened our world. Begin Phase 3, Chen ordered, her voice carrying across the quantum-linked fleet. Execute psychological warfare protocols. Let's show them what true fear feels like. The Earth fleet split into hunting pairs, each targeting specific segments of the fragmenting hegemony armada. From the Hyperion's bridge, Chen watched as her crews implemented the carefully planned terror campaign. The destroyer Shanghai flickered into view for a split second, just long enough for its outline to register on hegemony sensors. 3 alien ships immediately opened fire on the location, but the Shanghai had already vanished, only to partially materialize 2 kilometers away. The hegemony vessels spun to track it, their weapons cutting through empty space. Remarkable readings from their neural networks, Commander Patel reported, monitoring the enemy's communications. Their group mind is fracturing. Individual ships are beginning to ignore command protocols, acting on instinct rather than logic. Chen nodded. They built their entire military doctrine on predictability and perfect coordination. Now let's see how they handle pure chaos. The cruiser Sentinel executed a perfect manifestation of its weapons array only, appearing as a ghostly collection of gun ports floating in space. Before the nearby hegemony ships could react, it vanished, leaving them firing frantically at nothing. Moments later, its engines appeared briefly on the opposite side, creating the illusion of an impossible spatial displacement. "Admiral," Rivera called out, detecting massive power surges across the hegemony fleet. They're diverting energy from life support to sensors and weapons. They're desperate to find us. And burning through their reserves in the process, Chen observed. All ships, initiate sonic warfare protocols. The Earth fleet began broadcasting on frequencies that resonated with hegemony hull materials. Not enough to cause damage, but the vibrations traveled through their ships like the groaning of metal ghosts. The effect on alien crews was immediate. Their crystalline bodies were particularly sensitive to sonic disturbances. "They're breaking formation completely," Paddle reported with a hint of satisfaction. 2 more ships just fled the battle zone. 3 more powering up jump drives. Their command structure is collapsing. Through their quantum bubble, Chen watched a hegemony heavy cruiser fire on one of its own destroyers, convinced by sensor ghosts that it had been infiltrated by human forces. The destroyer's return fire set off a chain reaction of friendly fire incidents as panic spread through the alien ranks. "Signal from the Magellan," Patel announced. That young ensign had an idea. "Let's hear it," Chen replied, curious. "He suggests using our quantum fields to distort light around hegemony ships, making them appear to phase in and out like we do. They'll start doubting which ships are really their allies." Chen smiled. "Tell him that's brilliant. All ships implement the Magellan Protocol immediately." The effect was devastating. As Earth's ships projected quantum distortions around alien vessels, the hegemony's remaining command structure dissolved. Ships began refusing orders, unable to trust that they came from actual commanders. Some vessels initiated emergency shutdown procedures, believing their systems had been compromised. "Admiral," Rivera's voice was tense, detecting a massive energy buildup in the alien flyship cluster. They're activating their entire weapons array. They're going to try to saturate all of space around them," Chen realized. "All ships, clear the sector immediately." The Earth fleet glided away on silent quantum fields as the remaining hegemony command ships unleashed their full firepower in every direction. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes filled space in a desperate attempt to hit their invisible tormentors. But all they succeeded in doing was damaging more of their own vessels. "Send to all ships," Chen ordered, watching the hegemony fleet tear itself apart. "Prepare for final phase. It's time to deliver our message." She paused, studying the tactical display where the once mighty alien armada had devolved into scattered, panicked groups. "Let's show them what happens when they mistake humanity's restraint for weakness. All ships, move into final formation." Chen commanded, watching as 50 quantum signatures aligned in her tactical display. "Prepare for synchronized decloaking on my mark." The Earth fleet took position around the remaining hegemony command ships, forming a perfect sphere that would become visible all at once. Through their quantum fields, they could see the alien vessels huddled together, weapons still firing randomly into empty space. "Status of enemy fleet?" Chen asked, making final adjustments to their positioning. 37% have fled the system, Rivera reported. 22% are disabled or destroyed. The remainder are in complete disarray. No coherent command structure remains. Commander Patel looked up from her station. "Admiral, intercepting fascinating communications. The hegemony ships are reporting. Ghost ships, quantum demons, space wraiths. Their rigid scientific worldview is breaking down. They're reverting to ancient superstitions. Fear does that," Chen observed, "even to species that pride themselves on logic." She straightened her uniform. "Prepare ship-to-ship broadcast, all frequencies, all languages, and get me a direct channel to whoever's taken command of their remaining forces." A holographic display flickered to life, showing the hegemony sub-commander. Their crystalline exoskeleton was fractured in places, stress cracks spreading across its surface. When they spoke, their translator couldn't fully mask the tremor in their voice. "What? What are you? How are you doing this?" Adding visual feed, Chen signaled to Patel. "All ships, to cloak on my mark. 3, 2, 1. The quantum fields dropped simultaneously. In an instant, 50 Earth vessels appeared in perfect formation, surrounding the hegemony ships in a sphere of human military might. The effect was magnificent. Where moments before there had been empty space, now an inescapable wall of Earth ships materialized. "We are humanity," Chen announced, her voice carrying across every frequency. "We are the species you dismissed as primitive. The civilization you thought you could simply absorb. The people you threatened with extinction." She paused, letting the words sink in. "We are the ghost fleet that just destroyed half your armada without losing a single ship." The sub-commander's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme distress. "Impossible. Our science said this couldn't." "Your science?" Chen's laugh was cold. "Your science is based on mathematical certainty. Ours is built on endless possibility. You came here believing that superior numbers guaranteed victory. But humanity's greatest achievements have always come when we were outnumbered, outgunned, and told that victory was impossible." On her tactical display, Chen could see the remaining hegemony ships powering up their jump drives, preparing to flee. She nodded to Rivera, who transmitted targeting data to the fleet. 50 targeting locks engaged simultaneously, every Earth ship's weapons trained on critical systems. "You have 24 hours to remove all hegemony forces from our solar system," Chen declared. "If a single one of your ships remains after that deadline, we will demonstrate just how creative humans can become when we're truly threatened." She leaned forward slightly. "And believe me, you haven't seen anything yet." You're barbarians," the sub-commander chittered. "Using technology you don't even understand." "No," Chen corrected. "We're survivors, and we understand our technology perfectly. We learned it from Earth's oceans, developed it in secret, and perfected it while you watched our primitive civilization and saw only what you expected to see." Her voice hardened. 24 hours, and if the hegemony ever threatens Earth again, what happened here will seem like a gentle warning. The transmission cut off as the hegemony ships began jumping away, their perfect formation forgotten in their haste to escape. Chen watched them flee, remembering all the species that had already fallen to their empire's expansion. "Send to all ships," she ordered quietly. "Well done, everyone. Earth stands free." She paused, then added, "And send a special commendation for that young ensign on the Magellan. Humanity's strength has always been in our ability to think differently." The Earth fleet maintained their formation, quantum drives humming quietly, ready to vanish again at a moment's notice. They had shown the galaxy something new. Sometimes the most dangerous predator isn't the biggest or strongest, but the one that can become invisible at will. 3 weeks after the hegemony's retreat, Admiral Chen stood before a different alien delegation in the Deep Point Alpha Chamber. The Arcturian representatives were nothing like the crystalline rigidity of the hegemony. Their bioluminescent forms shifted colors with their emotions, currently pulsing with shades of curious blue-green. So the quantum cloaking technology, the lead Arcturian diplomat, Valen, gestured with a tendril of light. It only worked because of their predictable tactics. Partly, Chen confirmed, bringing up a holographic display of the glass octopus. The real breakthrough was understanding that we didn't need to cloak entire ships. We just needed to create a network of smaller fields working in harmony, like these creatures do naturally. The Arcturians' colors shifted to impressed violet. They had spent centuries fighting the hegemony to a stalemate, their organic technology constantly adapting but never quite enough to gain the upper hand. Now humanity had changed everything in a single battle. Your ships could only maintain the cloak for limited periods, Valen observed. The power requirements must have been enormous. They were, Chen acknowledged, but we didn't need forever. We just needed long enough to shatter their certainty. She smiled. The hegemony's greatest weakness was their belief that they understood everything. They never considered that a primitive species might have developed something their equations said was impossible. The chamber's displays showed footage from the battle, captured by quantum-shifted cameras. The Arcturians watched in fascination as Earth's fleet appeared and disappeared at will, turning the hegemony's own precision against them. We've received reports, another Arcturian pulsed with amused orange, that their scientific council is in complete disarray. Their fundamental theories about quantum mechanics are being questioned. Some are even suggesting that their entire approach to understanding the universe needs to be reconsidered. Good, Chen replied. Maybe they'll learn something from this. The universe isn't a mathematical equation to be solved. It's an endless frontier of possibilities. Valen's color shifted to diplomatic purple. The Arcturian Alliance would like to propose a partnership. Your quantum technology combined with our organic ships could change the balance of power in the galaxy. We could finally break the hegemony's hold on. No, Chen interrupted firmly. Earth isn't interested in joining anyone's war. We defended ourselves, but we won't become part of a larger conflict. She paused, considering. However, we are interested in trade, cultural exchange, scientific collaboration. We have much to learn from each other. The Arcturians pulsed with thoughtful blues. This wasn't the response they'd expected from a species that had just humbled the mighty hegemony. But perhaps that's exactly why Earth had succeeded where others had failed. They fought when necessary, but didn't let victory change who they were. There's something else you should know, Chen added, bringing up new displays. The quantum cloaking. It's already obsolete. Our scientists have been studying the battle data, combining it with new observations of deep-sea life. We're developing something even better. The Arcturians' colors flickered with surprise as they studied the preliminary designs. Their own organic technology was highly advanced. But this was something entirely new. A fusion of nature's solutions and human innovation that even their best scientists hadn't considered. The galaxy is changing, Valen observed, pulses of deep purple rippling through their form. The hegemony's defeat has inspired other species to think differently, to question old assumptions. And it all started because your people looked at a transparent sea creature and saw possibilities instead of limitations. Chen nodded, remembering the young ensign whose creative thinking had helped turn the tide of battle. He was leading his own research team now, combining quantum physics with marine biology in ways that were redefining what was possible. That's humanity's real strength, she said quietly. Not our technology or our tactics, but our ability to look at the impossible and say why not. We'll never be the biggest or strongest species in the galaxy, but we'll always be the ones who see possibilities where others see only walls. The Arcturians' colors shifted to respectful gold as they finalized the trade agreements. The galaxy was entering a new era, and Earth would help shape it, not through force or dominance, but through innovation, adaptation, and the uniquely human talent for finding paths that no one else could see.